Love, they say, is a collection of moments, snapshots of laughter, whispers in the dark, and traditions that shape the foundation of a relationship. For Emily and me, our love story was woven into the fabric of a particular restaurant, a place where time seemed to slow down just for us. La Belle Vie wasn't extravagant. No celebrity chefs or Michelin stars graced its name, but it held something far more precious: memories. The dim lighting, the rich scent of garlic and rosemary wafting through the air, the warm flicker of candlelight dancing between our hands, it all felt like home. I still remember the first time I brought Emily there. Nervous excitement had gripped me as I pulled out her chair, eager to impress her. She had laughed, brushing a loose curl behind her ear, eyes twinkling as she teased, "Chivalry isn't dead after all." That night, we had talked for hours, losing ourselves in conversation, oblivious to the world beyond our table. It was the night I knew this woman was going to change my life. Over the years, our love story played out against the backdrop of that cozy restaurant. We celebrated anniversaries, toasted to new jobs, and even shared quiet, ordinary evenings where words weren't needed, just a comfortable silence between two people who understood each other. So, when our 10th anniversary approached, I wanted to do something special. Work had consumed much of my life lately, stealing away time meant for Emily. I noticed the small changes: her sighs when I arrived home late, the way she stared at me sometimes, as if searching for the man who used to make her laugh without effort. I made a reservation at La Belle Vie weeks in advance, ensuring our favorite table by the window was ready. I planned the evening meticulously: her favorite wine, a bouquet of white lilies, a heartfelt letter tucked into my pocket, waiting for the right moment. This was my way of telling her, "I see you. I love you. I haven't forgotten us." That morning, excitement buzzed through me. I left work early, stopping by the florist to pick up the lilies. As I stepped through the front door of our home, a smile already forming, my breath caught. Emily stood in front of the full-length mirror, adjusting a deep red dress I hadn't seen before. The fabric clung to her curves in a way that made my heart skip a beat. She looked breathtaking, too breathtaking. My eyes traveled to her reflection, noticing the delicate necklace resting against her collarbone, the soft shimmer of her lips, the nervous way she touched her hair. She hadn't noticed me yet. Her phone vibrated on the dresser, and she quickly picked it up, smiling at whatever message had appeared. Something inside me twisted. I cleared my throat. "Wow!" She jumped slightly, turning to face me. Her expression flickered with something: guilt? Surprise? Before she masked it with a smile. "Oh, you're home early." I stepped forward, lifting the bouquet. "Wanted to surprise you." Her gaze flickered over the flowers before she forced a laugh. "That's so sweet." She walked over, pressing a quick kiss to my cheek. It was the kind of kiss given out of obligation, not passion. An uneasy feeling settled in my stomach. "You look incredible," I said, forcing a grin. Her fingers toyed with the hem of her dress. "Thanks. I thought I'd dress up for tonight." Something about the way she said it felt off, but I shook the thought away. "This is our anniversary. She's just excited. Don't ruin it with paranoia." I wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her close. "You didn't have to go through all this trouble for me." For a fraction of a second, her body tensed before she forced a chuckle. "Of course I did. It's our special night." Something was wrong. I just didn't know it yet. The evening air carried a crisp autumn chill as we arrived at La Belle Vie, the familiar scent of herbs and roasted meats drifting from the entrance. A soft glow from the chandeliers bathed the restaurant in golden light, casting flickering shadows against the deep mahogany walls. The hostess, a woman we had known for years, greeted us warmly. "Welcome back, Mr. and Mrs. Carter. Your table is ready." Emily's fingers rested lightly on my arm as we followed the hostess to our usual spot by the window. The view overlooked the city square, where string lights swayed in the breeze, illuminating the cobblestone streets below. It should have felt romantic. It should have felt like home. But something was off. As we sat down, Emily immediately reached for her phone. Her fingers moved quickly, typing a message before flipping the screen downward. I frowned. "Everything okay?" She glanced up, almost startled by my voice. "Yeah, just work stuff." That answer didn't sit right. It was past 7. Her office had been closed for hours. Trying to shake the unease, I reached for the menu. "You already know what you want?" I asked, attempting to steer the night back on course. She nodded, folding her hands together. The usual. A forced smile. A rehearsed tone. She was here, sitting across from me, but it felt like she was somewhere else entirely. Our waiter arrived, taking our orders and pouring 2 glasses of red wine. I studied her as she swirled the deep crimson liquid in her glass absent-mindedly, her mind clearly elsewhere. She checked her phone again. I clenched my jaw. "Who keeps texting you?" Emily hesitated before slipping the device into her purse. "No one important." That single sentence sent a slow, crawling tension through my body. A woman who had nothing to hide wouldn't be this secretive. I took a slow sip of wine, trying to push the doubt aside. Maybe she was just distracted. Maybe she was planning something for our anniversary and didn't want me to find out. I wanted to believe that. I needed to believe that. Halfway through our meal, she suddenly excused herself. "I'll be right back," she murmured, grabbing her phone as she rose from the table. I watched her weave through the tables toward the restrooms, but instead of entering, she turned down a dimly lit hallway near the side entrance of the restaurant. My pulse quickened. I had never been the jealous type. I prided myself on trusting my wife, believing we had built something solid. But doubt clawed at my chest. Minutes passed. 5, 10. She was gone too long. A tight knot formed in my stomach. I pushed my chair back, leaving my napkin folded neatly on the table. As I walked toward the hallway, I told myself I was overreacting. Maybe she had run into an old friend. Maybe she needed a moment alone. Maybe. My steps halted abruptly. There, in the dim glow of the corridor light, Emily stood close, too close, to another man. He was tall, well-dressed, and alarmingly confident. He leaned in slightly, his hand resting against the wall near her shoulder. She laughed, soft, flirtatious. The kind of laugh that used to be just for me. Something inside me cracked. My heart pounded violently against my ribs as I stepped closer, my voice dangerously calm. "Emily!" She jerked back, eyes wide with shock. The man beside her turned, his expression unreadable. I didn't recognize him, but something about his smirk made my blood boil. "Who is he?" I asked, my voice low. The man spoke first. "I should go." I turned to Emily, waiting for an explanation. She opened her mouth, hesitated, then looked away. Guilt. I didn't need her to say it, I could already see the answer in her eyes. Silence stretched between us like an open wound. The man disappeared through the side exit, his confident strides infuriatingly relaxed. He wasn't worried. He wasn't ashamed. Emily, however, stood frozen, her lips parted as if searching for the right words. I took a step forward, my pulse hammering in my ears. "Who was that?" Her eyes darted away, her fingers twisting together in a nervous fidget. Just a friend." I let out a bitter laugh. "A friend? You don't look at friends like that, Emily." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." She hesitated. That single moment of indecision told me more than words ever could. Something was happening. Something she didn't want to admit. My fists clenched at my sides as I forced myself to stay calm. "How long?" She blinked, startled. "What?" I exhaled slowly, trying to control the anger creeping into my voice. "How long have you been sneaking around with him?" Her eyes flashed with something, guilt, anger, maybe both. "I haven't been sneaking around." "Then why did you leave our anniversary dinner to meet him in a dark hallway?" She opened her mouth, then closed it again. I shook my head, disgusted. "You can't even lie properly." She swallowed hard, her hands gripping the fabric of her dress. "It's complicated." No, I shot back. It's actually very simple. You either tell me the truth, or I walk out that door, and we're done. Tears welled in her eyes, but I wasn't sure if they were real or just another attempt to manipulate me. She finally whispered, "His name is Daniel." The name meant nothing to me. And I pressed. She looked down. "We've been talking for a while." Rage simmered beneath my skin. "Talking?" I repeated coldly. "Is that what they call it now?" She let out a shaky breath. "It wasn't supposed to mean anything. It just happened." I scoffed. "Things like this don't just happen, Emily. You made a choice." Her gaze snapped up, something defensive flashing across her face. "And what about you?" she shot back. "You've been distant for months. Always working late, barely looking at me. Do you even remember the last time we really talked?" Her words hit like a punch to the gut. I opened my mouth to argue, to tell her she was wrong, but deep down, I knew there was some truth in what she said. Work had consumed me. I had taken her for granted, assuming she would always be there. But did that excuse this? Did my long hours justify the way she looked at another man? I exhaled sharply, rubbing a hand over my face. "So, what now?" I asked, my voice hoarse. Emily hesitated. I stared at her, waiting, dreading her answer. And then she whispered, "I don't know." My heart twisted painfully. Because neither did I. The weight of Emily's words settled between us like an unbearable silence. "I don't know. Not I'm sorry. Not it was a mistake. Not I love you. Just uncertainty. Just hesitation." A dull ache spread through my chest as I studied the woman I thought I knew. The woman I had loved, cherished, and built a life with. The same woman who now stood in front of me, torn between me and another man. I let out a slow breath, forcing myself to speak. "You don't know." My voice was quieter than I expected, but the anger simmered beneath the surface. "So what, Emily? You just wanted to keep both of us? See how long you could juggle your husband and your friend." She flinched, guilt flashing across her face. "It's not like that." "Then what is it like?" I snapped, stepping closer. "Because from where I'm standing, it sure as hell looks like you've been sneaking around with him." Her hands curled into fists at her sides. "I never meant for it to happen." I laughed bitterly. "That's the problem, Emily. Affairs don't just happen. You made a choice." She swallowed hard, looking away. I could feel my heart breaking piece by piece. "Did you sleep with him?" I asked, my voice quieter now. She hesitated. That hesitation alone was my answer. I let out a sharp breath, shaking my head. The restaurant, once filled with warmth and nostalgia, now felt suffocating. My stomach twisted at the thought of her with him. The stolen glances, the whispered conversations, the touch of his hands where only mine should have been. "How long?" I asked again, this time barely above a whisper. She clenched her jaw. "A few months. A few months." While I had been planning our anniversary, she had been meeting him. While I had been worrying about work, she had been thinking about him. While I had been faithful, she had been anything but. I clenched my fists, anger and pain swirling inside me like a storm. "You could have told me," I said finally. "If you were unhappy, if you wanted something different, you could have talked to me. But instead you lied. You betrayed me." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't mean to hurt you," I scoffed. "But you did." For a moment neither of us spoke. The sounds of the restaurant drifted back in, the quiet clinking of silverware, the murmur of conversations, the occasional burst of laughter from couples who still had the luxury of trust. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized something. I wasn't sure if I could ever forgive this. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. The touch that once brought me comfort now felt like fire against my skin. "I need to think," I muttered, turning away. Emily called my name, but I didn't stop. I walked past the tables, past the hostess, past the memories that no longer felt like ours. The night air was cold when I stepped outside, but I barely felt it. All I felt was the taste of betrayal lingering on my tongue. The cold air did little to numb the fire burning inside me. Betrayal clung to my skin, thick and suffocating. I walked aimlessly down the quiet streets, my mind a chaotic storm of memories and painful realizations. Emily, my wife, my partner, the woman I had trusted with everything. And yet, for months she had been sharing her time, her body, with another man. I clenched my fist. How had I been so blind? Had I missed the signs? The distant looks, the quiet nights, the sudden urgency to check her phone? Had I been so wrapped up in work that I failed to see my marriage crumbling? I reached a small park and sank onto a bench, my breath coming out in slow, measured exhales. I could still see her face, the guilt, the hesitation. A few months. Those words echoed in my mind, each repetition cutting deeper. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and stared at the screen. Emily. I hesitated before answering. Hello. She sniffled on the other end. Where are you? I let my silence answer. I didn't want it to be like this, she whispered. I swear, I never meant for you to find out this way. I ran a hand through my hair, trying to steady my voice. You didn't mean for me to find out? That's what you're worried about. That's not what I meant. I let out a bitter laugh. Then tell me, Emily, what did you mean? She was quiet. I exhaled sharply. Do you love him? A pause. That pause was more painful than if she had screamed yes into the phone. I don't know, she finally admitted. My grip tightened around my phone. You don't know. Tears filled her voice. I love you, but... No, I cut in, my voice cold. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. If you loved me, you wouldn't have lied, wouldn't have cheated. Her breath hitched. I was lonely. I closed my eyes, pressing my fingers against my temple. So, what? You found comfort in another man's bed? Do you even understand what you've done? I didn't want to hurt you. Then you shouldn't have done it. The words hung between us, heavy and final. For so long, I had built my life around this woman. I had planned my future with her. I had believed in us. And now? Now, I wasn't sure if there even was an us anymore. She let out a choked sob. Can we talk? I stood from the bench, my jaw tightening. I don't think there's anything left to say. I ended the call before she could respond. Because for the first time in years, I was starting to realize, maybe love wasn't enough. I stood in front of our apartment door, the place that once felt like home now just a collection of walls and memories tainted by betrayal. My hand hovered over the doorknob, hesitating, but I forced myself to turn it. Inside, the air was thick with silence. The scent of Emily's perfume lingered, a cruel reminder of the woman I thought I knew. She sat on the couch, her arms wrapped around her knees, eyes red and swollen from crying. She looked up the moment I entered. I didn't think you'd come back. I shut the door behind me, my movements slow and deliberate. Neither did I. A flicker of hope crossed her face, but I crushed it before it could grow. We need to talk, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. She nodded, her hands trembling as she smoothed out the wrinkles in her dress. I know. I messed up. I let out a cold laugh. That's an understatement. She winced. I don't want to lose you. I exhaled sharply, rubbing a hand over my face. You already did, Emily. Tears welled in her eyes. It was never about him. It was about feeling wanted, feeling something new. The words stung more than I expected. So, I wasn't enough? She reached for me, but I stepped back. You were, she whispered. But I let myself get lost in something that didn't matter. And now I realize, I was wrong. I studied her, the woman I had given my heart to, the woman who had shattered it without a second thought. Tell me the truth, I said, my voice dangerously low. If I hadn't caught you tonight, would you have told me? Her silence was deafening. I nodded, the final piece clicking into place. That's what I thought. Emily broke down, sobs racking her body, but I felt nothing. I had already mourned the woman I loved. I can fix this, she begged. We can fix this. I shook my head. No, Emily. You broke this. and I'm done being the only one trying to hold it together." She gasped as if my words had physically hurt her, but I didn't stay to see her reaction. I grabbed my coat, my keys, and one last look at the life I was walking away from. Without another word, I opened the door and stepped out. The night was cold, but for the first time in months I could breathe. And as I walked away, I knew one thing for certain. This was the end of us.